Good morning everyone. So today's topic is dissolution of farm. Now what do you mean by dissolution? Dissolution refers to the process of closing down and liquidating the partnership business, right? So in case of dissolution of farm, all the outstanding debts, loans and obligations are cleared and the remaining assets are distributed among the partners. Once the dissolution process is complete, the partnership ceases to exist legally, right? So we have to remember that in case of dissolution, realization account should be opened. In realization account, all the assets will be transferred to the debit side of realization account and all the liabilities should be transferred to the credit side of the dissolution account. After that, the realizable value of the asset will be credited on the realization account by cash, and if the partner, any of the partner agree to take over that asset, then it will be credited in his name. Okay, that asset will be credited in his name and he will have to pay off for that. Likewise, in case in the question, if it is not mentioned that the liability will be paid off, still it will be paid off. So instead of mentioning, you have to pay it off. Suppose there is a creditor to whom we have to pay, or there is bank loan, we have to, whenever we have the cash amount in hand, first of all we have to pay the liabilities, right? After that, if there are any loan outstanding of the partner, suppose A is my partner and he has given the loan to the farm. So instead of paying him first, I will pay the outsider's loan first, and whatever the remaining amount, if there is any surplus amount, then it will be used to pay off the liability of the partner, right? But here one more thing we have to consider, that suppose A is a partner and A's wife, she has contributed some money as loan to the partnership business, then she is an outsider. Okay, then her loan will be given the first priority and it will be paid off. But if A contributed something as loan, then immediately his account will not be cleared. At the end, if there is any money, then it will be cleared, or else that loss will be beared by him only, right? Now coming next to mode of dissolution, how these farm get dissolved. So there can be voluntary dissolution, which means the partner voluntarily decides to dissolve the partnership due to retirement, expiration of the partnership agreement, or by mutual agreement. Like that, there is compulsory dissolution, which occurs due to bankruptcy or insolvency, illegality or inability to achieve the partnership objective. And like that, there are dissolution by court order. A court may order the dissolution of partnership in cases involving misconduct, fraud, irretrievable breakdown of trust among partners. So these are the cases where the partnership firm can be dissolved. If there is a breach of trust, or if there is an illegality or bankruptcy, or by mutual agreement, right? So now the thing is how the account will be settled at the time of dissolution. We should remember that all the losses, including the deficiency of the capital, shall be paid first out of profit, after that next out of capital, and lastly, if necessary, the partners individually, in the proportion they will contribute to pay off the liabilities. Okay. Then regarding the assets of the firm, when any sum contributed by the partner to make up deficiency of capital, that should be applied in a manner in paying the debt of the firm to third party, in paying to each partner relatively which is due to him from the firm for advance and distinguished from capital, right? So now we have to remember that what we have to do, first of all we have to pay the liabilities to the outsider, then from the remaining balance we have to pay to the internal parties whom the payment is due. And there will not like admission of partner and retirement of partner, we opened 3 accounts, that is revaluation account, capital account and balance sheet. But in case of dissolution of firm, there should be realization account, capital account and bank account. So there is no need to prepare the new balance sheet, because as the firm is dissolved and it is not carried forward, so the balance sheet will not be prepared. Now coming to the example, given an example you will be clear about the concept of dissolution and how it is treated. So here you can see, here there is L, M and L, right? These are the 3 partners sharing profit and loss in the ratio 3:2:1. Okay, 3:2:1. Now the balance sheet shows this amount. In balance sheet, here is the reserve which you will note, here is the goodwill which will be taken, right? Now coming to the adjustment, these are the adjustments: book debt of rupees 3000, stock of rupees 15,500. These all are the assets realized value. Okay. Now sundry creditor is paid in full. Expenses of realization is 350. There is a contingent liability of 4,500, and somebody is insolvent and he is able to pay only 50 paisa in a rupee. So that is a case, and also the bill discounted is dishonored, which came to rupees 500. So these are the cases before winding up. So how we will treat it in account? So first of all, we will make the dissolution account, that is realization account. Okay, in realization account, first of all the assets should be transferred. So here the asset is 15,000 and the debtor is 4,000, stock is 14,000, furniture is 2,200. These all will be debited. Okay, there is a cross. Okay, so here you can see, here land is 15,000, debtor is 4,000, stock is 14,000, furniture is 2,200, suspense account is 500 and goodwill is 5,000. These all you can see here in the balance sheet. Suspense account is 500, goodwill is 5,000. So the entire amount of the asset side is transferred to the realization account. Now when we came to liability, the creditor is 9,000, loan and mortgage is 7,000. These two will be considered because general reserve belongs to the partners, so it will not be the part of the realization account, and the capital account will be shown in the capital account. It is not the part of realization account. So creditor and mortgage, these both are the outsiders liability, so it should be transferred to credit side of realization account. So creditor and mortgage, these both are credited. Now in the balance sheet we can see there is a provision for bad debts. You can see here there is a provision for bad debt 200. It was subtracted from the debtor. So you should remember that whenever there is any amount which is subtracted from a particular item, it will be shown on the same side. Okay, it will not go to the opposite side, or you can say it will not go to the debit side. It will remain in the credit side of the realization account. So this 200 amount will be written here, okay, as provision for bad debts account. Okay, now coming to adjustments, all the account has been taken now. Now coming to adjustment, we will see the partners agreed to dissolve the partnership and assets were realized as follows. Book debt is 3,000, stock is 15,500 and furniture is 3,000. Suspense account is nil. So these are the account we have to total it. So from book debt we realized money. Book debt means debtor. By the market price of the debtor now is 3,000. So we have realized the value 3,000. From stock we get 15,500. From furniture we get 3,000. From suspense account we get 0. Okay. So totaling this we get an amount of 21,500, right? So it will be treated in cash because this amount we have realized from market and from outsiders. So that's why it will be treated as cash or bank. You can see here, by bank account, asset realized 21,500. Okay. But as I have told, if any partner agrees to take any asset, then he have to pay for it, and instead of the bank account, his name will be written on that account. So here it is given that L agrees to buy the farm's name and goodwill for 10,000. So L will pay us rupees 10,000 as the goodwill. So here we have to write his name by L's account. Whatever money is realized or we will get the money, it will be written on the credit side. Okay. So now the L will give us rupees 10,000. It is clear now. Now next, coming to sundry creditor. Sundry creditors were paid in full settlement rupees 8,200. But what was the amount of creditor before? The amount of creditor was 9,000. But we have to pay 8,200. So 800 is our discount. So now see how it is treated. Here it is to bank because we have paid, so our cash money is deducted or bank balance is deducted. So to bank it is written 8,200. So you got it. So all these items you are able to understand, right? Now coming next to other points. Here you can see land and building revalued at 13,000, which were taken over by M. Means M is a partner. He agreed to take the land and building. So land and building is an asset. His money we will receive, so it will be credited. If the money is received by us, then it is credited. If we have to pay the money, then it will be debited. And vice versa, when we transfer the asset, it is debited. But his money, when we realize the money, the value of money is credited. Like that, when the liability is transferred, it is credited. But when we pay the amount, it is debited. Right? So now M will pay us the amount of rupees 13,000. So it will be credited because whatever we receive, we will credit it. So now it is M. Here the name is written as M. You can see here, M will pay us land and building amounting to rupees 13,000. Clear? Now next, there is also a consent of the mortgage subject to the loan of mortgage. Okay, so M has agreed that or made a condition that I will pay the amount of loan on mortgage. Okay, he is responsible to pay the loan on mortgage amount, but he will take the land and building. So here the two things which is taken by M, that is loan and also land and building. So the amount which we received from M, that is land, we have credited it. Now loan is the liability which will be paid by M, so it will be debited, right? You can see here the loan on mortgage. The loan on mortgage 7,000 will be paid by M. So it to M account it. Here you can see there is loan on mortgage 7,000. You can see here loan on mortgage 7,000. Okay, so liability is transferred in credit side, but it is paid in the debit side. Asset is transferred in the debit side, but it is paid in the credit side. This is the common formula you can apply. Now next, coming to expenses on realization. So the expenses on realization came to 350. So expenses on realization is a expenses obviously. So it should be, we have to pay for it. So whatever we pay, we will debit it. So to cash or to bank you can put, and you can put the expenses on realization as 350. Clear? Next, coming to the next point, it is written that there was a contingent liability in respect of bill discounted 4,500. So what do you mean by this contingent liability which was discounted at rupees 4,500? So now you can see that contingent liability is actually not a liability. Liabilities are of three types. that is fixed liability or long term liability, current liability and contingent liability. So contingent liability, example of contingent liability is a case pending in the court or a bill discounted dishonored, right? So these are contingent, these are actually not liability. Sorry, that's why they are not recorded, but they are not recorded in the balance sheet, but that should be mentioned in the footnote of the balance sheet that there is a contingent liability regarding this, but there is no treatment of it in the balance sheet or any other account. So here rupees 4,500 contingent liability will not be recorded in the dissolution account as it is actually not a liability. Right? Now coming to next, the acceptor of one bill rupees 500 become insolvent and 50 paise in a rupee was recovered. 50 paise in a rupee means 1 rupee is equals to 100 paise. So 50 paise in a rupee is equal to 50%. So now one person who have to, the liability of rupees 1 bill from insolvent was recovered. One person who will pay us rupees 500, he had given only 50% of the amount, means rupees 250 was finally received from him. So as it was received, so it will be credited. So here you can see, to bank recovery of insolvent, it is the 50% amount 250. So got it? Next, coming to the next point, the liability of the firm rupees 500 on account of bills discounted dishonored has no so far recorded in the bill. So what we will do here now, it has been written that you have paid a bill, okay, our firm, it has paid a bill of rupees 500, but now it was dishonored. So there is a liability on us to pay it, because the bill, we thought that we have paid the bill, but now the bank noticed us that the bill was dishonored. So we have to pay to the bank rupees 500. So as we have to pay, it should be shown on the debit side, to bank account payment of bill dishonored rupees 500, right? So we can see all of our points, all the adjustments were covered here. So what next? We have to calculate the profit or loss on realization. If the credit amount of the dissolution account is more than the debit amount, then there is a realization profit. And if the debit amount is more than the credit amount, then there is the realization loss, which will both will be, if there is loss or if there is profit, it will be transferred to capital account of the partners. Now the total debit amount, the total credit amount comes to 60,940. Okay, 60,950, and the total debit amount comes to rupees 56,000 something, right? So after deducting the debit amount from the credit amount, we get the balancing figure of 4,500, which is written as to profit on realization account, because the total debit comes to near 56,000 around, but the total credit amount is 60,000, which is more than the debit balance. So there is a profit of 4,200, which will be distributed among the partners L, M and N in the old ratio. So the old ratio is already mentioned here as 3:2:1, right? 3:2:1. Now this 3:2:1 we can calculate as 3/6, 3:2:1. Okay, we have to sum up this. 3 to 1 equals to 6. So 3/6 into total is your profit to 4,200. So if we will calculate it, it comes to 2,100. So like that, M capital will be calculated at 1,400 and N's capital will be calculated at 700. So here the realization account is over. Next, coming to capital account. So regarding capital account, first of all we have to carry the by balance brought down amount, which is the old capital reflected in the balance sheet. Okay, So in the balance sheet we can see that here is capital account. One thing we have to note that in the realization account we can see, in the realization account there is the name of L capital, there is the name of M capital, there is also in the debit side there is the name of M capital. Wherever there is the reflection of the name of the partner's capital account, it will be also transferred to capital account. That means it will also reflect in the capital account. If it is a credit, then it will be debited in the capital account. If there is a debit in the realization account, then it will be credited in the balance sheet. Everything will go vice versa. Now we can see the capital account of L, M and N is 9,000, 6,000 and 5,000. So first of all we will write here by balance brought down 9,000, 6,000 and 5,000. Then we will realize this realization profit will be transferred to L, M and N. We have to see where there is the name of partners L, M and N. Everything will be transferred to capital account in the opposite. Suppose in realization account debit side there is a profit of L, M and L as 2,100, 1,400 and 700. It will be written in the credit side of capital account as 2,100, 1,400 and 700. So there is a cross. Okay. Then now we will go to the balance sheet if we have left over anything. So there is a general reserve of rupees 4,500. This general reserve belongs to the partners. So this will be distributed among them in their old ratio 3:2:1. So the general reserve is 4,500, which will be contributed or distributed in the amount 3:2:1. It comes to 3/6 into 4,500 and the amount will come to 2,250. Okay, this is L's capital. Like in case of M's capital, it will come to 2/6 into 4,500. Okay, these are the various way of calculation. So first of all, we will find the L's capital. It will be credited by 2,250. M's capital will be credited by 1,500 and L's capital will be credited by 750. So these are the realization account. Now what else is there we have to find out. So I think from our balance sheet we have already taken all the items. These all are covered now. Okay, these all we have covered. Now coming to next realization account, where there is the name of the partner, that should be considered. Okay, we can see here in the debit side there is M's capital account for payment of loan on mortgage. So this will be taken. Okay, see, this one is amount of rupees 7,000 and any other name here, these three partners name is here reflecting, but this was already taken in the capital account. So these two are the name of the partner M's capital. It was in the debit side of the realization account, so it will be credited to the capital account. See, here all the realization profit was already taken and here is the realization amount of M for payment of mortgage of rupees 7,000. So there we have written as 2M's capital. In capital account we will write this by realization. Whatever be the accounts heading it was written, it will be credited in that amount only. You have to, that account name is realization account. You can't write here by M's account. So in capital account, M's capital account debited to M's capital account, it is not possible. That's why if you are taking any amount from the realization account, then realization account will be taken into consideration. Next, coming to the credit side, here we found a name by L's capital for goodwill rupees 10,000, by M's capital for land rupees 13,000. So this is the name of the partner. It is in the credit side, so it will reflect in the debit side of the capital account as realization. So see here, to realization account 10,000 of L, M of 13,000. Okay, so everything we have taken and transferred wherever there is the name of partner. Then remaining we have to calculate. We have to calculate the total amount which has been left over or which will be brought by the partner. So here you can see the total of L comes to 13,350 and the total debit comes to 10,000. Okay, total debit comes to 10,000 rupees. Now 13,350 minus 10,000, the balancing figure is 3,350. 3,350 will be debited to bank account, because as the firm is dissolved, so there is no need to balance carried down or transfer to the balance sheet. So whatever be the amount left will be taken by the partners because the firm is dissolved. So it will be, the balancing figure will be the bank account. Now in the same manner, total of M's capital comes to 5,900 and total debit of M's capital comes to 13,000. Here we can see the total of M's capital comes to 15,900 and the total debit comes to 13,000. So there is a bank balance of 2,900 which will be given to M before dissolution. Like that, on N's total credit comes to 6,450 and total debit here is 0. So his balance will be taken by him. Okay, it will be transferred to bank account as 6,450 on N's capital account. So that is capital account is complete now. Next, without going for the balance sheet, we have to prepare bank account, because there is no need of balance sheet as I have mentioned earlier. So bank is a asset, so it reflected in the balance sheet. Here in balance sheet we can see here there is bank. Okay, bank balance. If there is no bank balance shown in the balance sheet mentioned in the question, there is no bank balance, then we can take it as 0. But if there is any balance shown in the asset side of the balance sheet, then it will be taken as to balance brought down in the bank account, because like capital is written as by balance brought down because it is a credit item. Like that, bank is an asset, it is a debit item, so it should be written as to balance brought down. So see here in the asset side there is no bank available, so you have to take to balance brought down as a 0. Okay, or you can skip that, you can skip writing as 0. So I am writing here to balance brought down is equals to 0. That means I do not have any cash balance before. Okay, I have started with nil balance. Now wherever you are seeing that there is a cash or bank balance, you have to transfer it. See here in realization account, where there is cash, see wherever there is cash or balance, it will be transferred. In as usual the cross formula, if the bank balance appears in the credit side of the realization account, then it will be debited in the bank account. And if any bank balance is shown in the debit side of the realization account, then it will be credited in the bank account. This formula we have also applied in capital account, right? So here see first where it is bank. Here see, here it is bank, here it is bank, here it is bank, then here it is bank, and here it is bank. So total there are 5 items of bank account in realization account. 3 items are in the debit side of realization account. So in the credit side, these all 3 items will be credited in the bank account. So the amount is rupees 500, rupees 350 and rupees 8,200. These 3 will be credited. See here, 8,200, 350 and 500. These three will be are being credited here in the name of realization account, right? Same we have to go for the credit of realization account. Here the amount of bank comes to 21,500 and 250. As it is in the credit side, so it will show on the debit side of bank account as realization account. Okay, in the debit side it is 21,500 and 250 as realization account. So clear? Now anything left in the balance sheet? Nothing is left in the balance sheet, nothing is left in the realization account. But we have to also check the capital account if there is any cash balance. So we can find that yes, there is a cash balance here also. Okay, in the credit side of capital account there is no cash balance. So, but here is a bank balance in the name of L, M and L. So it is in the debit side, so it will be credited to the capital account. So by L, by M and by L, these three accounts will be credited, right? So nothing left now. So the bank account will be balanced always. Otherwise there is anything we have done wrong. Otherwise it will tell. So here if we will total the bank balance credit side, we get an amount of rupees 21,750. And on the debit side if we will calculate, we will get the amount of 21,750. So the debit balance and the credit balance equals. That means our answer is perfectly okay. So here you can see that as I have mentioned you, the contingent liability will not be displaced or will not be written in the balance sheet or any account, but it should be written in the footnote of the answer or footnote of the balance sheet. So here you can see there is a note. Contingent liability of rupees 4,500 is not to be taken into account. The liability of one bill 500 dishonor which materializes has been taken into consideration. So that 500 already we have taken because we have to pay for it and we have paid it in the realization account. But contingent liability will not be taken into account because it is not a liability, it is a contingent liability. This liability was not yet arised. So how do we consider it? Right? So I hope you understand this realization and this dissolution of firm. So this dissolution of firm is very important to understand because when there are partners in a business, when we do a sole trading business, we are the king of our mind, we are the king of our decision. So whatever decision, whatever the loss, what will be the capital, everything is on us. But when we enter into a partnership business, we have to match our mind with many persons, many people. Like if A, B, C, D, 4 are the partners, 4 people have the different mentality. Because we can see in our hand all fingers are not same, right? Like that everybody's mentality and way of decision making will be different. So there are very much chances of conflict between the partners. That's why partnership deed is maintained, so that in case of any kind of dissolution of the firm, how this entire process will smoothly be done, so that it will be dissolved smoothly. There will be no any kind of disturbance or any kind of so much conflict in future. Everything should be written in the deed so that it will act as evidence at the time of dissolution. So that is the reason why firm dissolves, because of the mismatch of the partners mentality, also due to breach of trust. Okay, one partner may help the other partner, one partner may show that he is helping, but he will misutilize the resources. So when there is a breach of trust, then there is no way or there is no reason to carry forward the business with the same partner. So ultimately the firm dissolves. And also there is a case of insolvency, like if among the 4 partners one partner become insolvent, he do not have any money left to contribute in the farm, that is okay. But if all the partners become insolvent, then there is no reason to carry on the business, because as the working capital is nil, then the farm will automatically dissolve. So these are all the consequences why the partnership farm is dissolved, and these are the treatments. Whenever if the partnership dissolves, the realization account, all the assets and liabilities are transferred, and on the opposite side, all the cash realized from the market bank account will be debited, or when the assets are realized, then the bank account is credited, and if the partners agrees to take the assets, then his name will be credited. Like that, we have to pay the liabilities to the outsiders, but whether it is mentioned in the question or not, but we have to pay the liabilities. So we have to write there to bank account, and if any partner agrees to pay the liability, then his name will be reflected in the place of bank account. So like that, realization profit or loss will be found out. After that, capital account will be done as usual by transferring the reserve and the balance brought down, and by taking the realization profit or loss. And the main thing we have to do there, that wherever be the name reflected in the realization account will be transferred on the opposite side of the capital account, right? After that, the balancing figure will be the bank account. It will not be carried down because the farm is dissolving, and there is no need to carry down the amount anymore. So whatever be the amount left over, that will be taken by the partners. So the balancing figure will be the cash or bank account, and at the end a bank account is prepared to know that whether anything is left over to pay or to receive. So in the bank account, first of all, we have to start with the to balance brought down. After that, wherever in the realization account there is a debit amount of bank, it will be credited. Credit amount of bank, it will be debited with the name realization. In capital account, where there is the cash balance in the debit side or in the credit side, it will be shown on the opposite of the bank account in the name of the partners. And after that, the bank account tallies. Okay. So I hope you understand. Thank you.